cutting off my entire family. Last year, my sister asked me to be her guarantor for her flat. I said I didn't want to, as I wasn't sure she'd be able to pay the rent every month with just her student loan. She insisted, saying if I didn't, she had no one else to sign for her, and she would have to pay a company to do it, and it would put her in a worse position financially. I felt bad for her and agreed to sign on the condition that she pay her rent on time every month, and made it clear I would not be able to help, as I have 2 kids of my own with my own financial responsibilities. She reassured me she has a waitressing job and will be committed to paying her rent, so I signed. She used to come stay with me for weekends and was very much part of my family life. I trusted her and used to check in with her about how university was going, and she painted a happy, successful student life where things were going really well. She even asked me if I can give her my MacBook so it would be easier for her to do assignments, which I did. Fast forward 6 months, and I receive a letter from the landlord saying they are taking me to court for unpaid rent of around £5,000. I was completely shocked. I confronted her about it when she was at my house, and she started screaming at me about how I was unapproachable and judgmental and how no one can speak to me. And then it was at this point I asked her to leave. I couldn't believe she was unwilling to take responsibility for lying to me for months. I also asked my brother about what was going on, as they are on the same course at university. He said everything is fine, and it's probably just a misunderstanding with her student loan, which will be sorted out. This was a lie. If she had just told me she was having financial issues, I could have worked with her and the landlord to come up with a suitable payment plan. I then contacted her over the next 3 months to ask her how she plans to pay her rent. Bear in mind, she's still living there. She refuses to engage with me and blocks me, saying I am harassing her. I then see on her Instagram, she's gone to a concert at Wembley, which would have cost her hundreds of pounds in travel, tickets, and accommodation. I exploded and said a lot of horrible things, as I was extremely angry that she was willing to leave me in debt to cover her rent while she was happy to go and enjoy herself. I decided to log into her emails, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I did, because I wanted to find out what her plans were, as she wasn't communicating with me at all. This wasn't particularly hard, as she'd logged in from my laptop before and hadn't logged out. I found out she bought Taylor Swift tickets and was planning on traveling to see her, and she had been planning to move to another city for months. So I guess she had no intention of ever paying the money. I also found that when she asked me to be her guarantor, she was actually about to get kicked out of university for non-attendance. She had not attended the entire previous semester and was on a warning, and in September was told she would be withdrawn. So she deliberately fooled me to make me sign those guarantor documents. And my brother knew about all of it. It was at this point I realized I'm going to have to pay the money unless my mother decides to do it for her. My mother has an awful relationship with the both of us, so the chances of that happening were pretty low. However, I told her the situation anyway. Her stance was that she wouldn't be paying it, as it was my responsibility since I signed. My partner attempted to connect with my sister. They'd always had a good relationship previously, but she decided to lie to him about her committing to a payment plan with the landlord and was generally unresponsive to talking about repayments. I then found out my mother had been sending my partner messages about how all this is entirely my fault, as I am a bad influence on my sister, as I enabled her to move out the family home and poisoned her against her. I should point out that my mother is a complete narcissist who makes everything about herself and paints herself to be a victim in every single situation. So I wasn't surprised by this. I then started to get money together to pay this debt off, as I didn't want to be taken to court by the landlord and let this situation destroy my credit. I made it clear to my sister I would be taking her to court to recover the funds. She moved out of the accommodation and got herself a full-time job, but still no talk of repayments. Fast forward a month, the police knock on my door and arrest me for harassment. She has screenshotted conversations we had from months ago, swearing at her and calling her various names, and had told them I was harassing her and that it was affecting her mental health. I explained what had happened to the police, and I was let go without any caution or charge. But the fact that she did this absolutely shocked me. This is my sister, who I would have done anything for. This arrest has caused me problems at work and has led Children's Services to come knocking at my door. I don't think I could ever forgive her for this. Whilst I was in custody, she had apparently called the police station and said something like she didn't want to get me in trouble. She had just wanted to scare me. My mother told my partner that my sister done this so that I wouldn't come after her for the money in court. So she was happy to blow up my life in addition to putting me in debt to pay off her rent. That day, I blocked every single member of my family as I just can't do it anymore.